It's pretty good and so far hasn't posed a danger, but it's still not for everyone. Hello friends, and not yet friends, welcome back to Mary's Test Kitchen, where I'm going deep. So please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, grab a drink, settle in, or feel free to use the timestamps to skip around. First, let's time travel back to the end of January 2023. This is me opening up the Salton Flip and Grill. They sell it on their own website, but I bought it on Amazon. The first thing I noticed is that it's packed nicely and securely. Very important for glass. First item out is the non-stick grill plate. Honestly, I didn't care about the grill feature at all. Plus, I was trying to get away from non-stick at the time, so it was just another thing to find a place for in my small kitchen. Next out, some cardboard? I guess this was supposed to keep everything from bouncing around in there. After that, a warning that hot things are hot. The power cord is your typical 1 meter short plug-in socket. We have the metal rack. The wire is set quite wide, so small pieces will fall through easily. On the other hand, this makes it really easy to clean compared to the wire baskets I've seen on oven-style air fryers. They also give you a non-stick rack, so you can choose whether you want to use non-stick or not. But even if you had no problems with non-stick, who would want these soft, rubbery bumpers? Gives me the ick. And the finish on this non-stick, let's just say, does not inspire confidence. The basket itself is thick borosilicate glass, which weighs almost 5 pounds without anything in it. Heavy, but perhaps this makes it durable. In contrast, the Cosori air fryer basket is just under 3 pounds. The glass appears to be cast as one piece with 2 protrusions, one that sinks into the plastic handle, perhaps glued to secure it, and one that's covered by this removable rubbery sleeve. The basket is meant to sit in this plastic and metal basket support. On this glass table, the suction cup feet hold it down well. On the laminate-covered kitchen stand that it usually sits on, not so much. Here we have the main body to go on top of the support. The slip and slide is a bit annoying for me, but I've gotten used to it. For the grill mode, you just flip the main body. Looks like your standard heating coil. Got a bit of film on it though. Pop the non-stick plate on top, and now it's a grill. Light and compact. Before the first run, I gave all the parts a good wash. Except for the main body, of course. With all the electronics in there, you shouldn't get it wet. I would say this is all fairly easy to clean. One of you asked if I ever fear the glass will break, and yes, I do fear it, so I'm super careful. I always empty the sink before it goes in there, always wash separately so I don't knock it into anything or knock anything into it. Also, I always let it cool to room temperature before washing. I never want to add cool water to a hot glass, which could cause it to break. But after this first wash, I went back to the table, and there was already a piece of broken glass. Upon inspection, yes, the piece matched a chip on the basket, which I hadn't noticed earlier. Brand new, and had a chip. After reading the reviews, apparently I was not the only one either. Now, I could have returned it at this point, but I decided the chip wasn't too bad, it was on the outside, and maybe for the review, it would be more fair to just see how it goes. Whenever you get a new appliance like this, they often tell you to put it through a dry run. Sometimes there's a coating from the manufacturing process to burn off. But at least in this case, there was no odor or visible smoke coming off. And this is before I lost my sense of smell, so trust me, I would have smelt it if anything came off. Having the glass basket completely exposed makes it so you can definitely feel the heat radiating off. So potentially, this will heat up your kitchen more than a traditional air fryer, which is insulated somewhat. Like my Cosori gets warm on the outside, but not hot.
It's pretty quiet. Ooh. Did you hear that cracking sound? That doesn't sound good. I feel like I need to step back.
That cracking sound really did freak me out a little, but I'm happy to report a year and a half later, I haven't seen any other chips, no cracks, It still looks almost new, and I think it'll hold up over time. But since you asked, I wrote to Salton's customer service to ask about a replacement. They told me it's $40 plus shipping and taxes. That's US dollars if you're in the US and Canadian dollars if you're in Canada. I am still going to be super careful with my basket, but that seems pretty reasonable to me. One of you asked if there's been any major incidents. Surprisingly, no, because I'm really clumsy and it's heavy, and this setup has a top-heavy design and it tends to move around when you use it. But still, nothing has happened. I can't compare it to the halogen bowl-style oven things because I have never tried one, but from what I've seen in the reviews, I don't really want to either. I do use oven mitts to handle this basket though, because even though the handle doesn't get hot directly, when you pull out the basket, you might have some hot steam escaping that way. Speaking of heat escaping, you might wonder if it cooks slower than a conventional air fryer. I also wondered. So let's test it out with a savory baked recipe. I'm making sure to use a scale, so I know that I'm putting the exact same amount of each ingredient in each batch, plus using the same size of mini springform pan lined with parchment paper. One for the Salton glass basket air fryer, and one for my Cosori 5.8 quart air fryer. I set the same temperature and cooked for the exact same amount of time. By the way, just to be clear, this particular Cosori that I'm using in the video is only 1 year old. My original, bought in 2021, actually got recalled, and they sent this as a replacement in August of last year. Time for the moment of truth. And these vegan mini quiches came out looking pretty much the same. Definitely overly browned on top, as the air fryers, they tend to dry out tops of baked things if you don't add a foil. Typically I would, but for this test I thought I shouldn't. But their bottoms look amazing. The interior is also looking good. But is the texture and taste also the same? Yes. To test if there's any hot spots, and also because, let's be real, air fryers have really been made for crisping up frozen food, I wanted to compare identical batches of tater tots. 1 cup of tots for each basket. The thing with the wire rack is it really does let some things drop through, so I manually arranged them for this test. However, usually I just dump them in. And actually 2.5 cups can fit in a single layer if you're not trying to be neat and tidy. I set them for the exact same time and temps, and tried to run them at the same time.
Okay, I guess I can't do them side by side. I tripped my breaker.
Small hiccup aside, they were cooked at the same temperature for the same amount of time. And they look the same. Let's see if they really are the same though.
I'm actually surprised that they're so identical.
Well, it looks like the glass basket air fryer really does perform the same way as the conventional. After these 2 tests, I am confident that you can use the same recipes that you usually use, at least if you're comparing the Cosori or something very similar. The one thing the Cosori can't do is the flip and grill. Honestly, I never cared about this function, and I still don't. I just don't have a use for it in my lifestyle, but we should give it a try for this review, right? It's only fair.
Actually, let's get wild and make 2 sandwiches and really test the cheeses out. 2 slices of each. about a vegan grilled cheese is there's rarely a pull. And even if there is a pull, it's not really a pull. It's like a goop. So I'm just going to get into it. It's creamy, it's cheesy. The flavor really does remind me of Kraft singles. Except, I think this must be the Daya because it has that Daya flavor. Not bad. I like this one better. The flavor is nicer. It's like more mild, but it doesn't have a weird vegan cheese aftertaste.
So after this test, I still don't care. The small size is just not practical for me. Plus it doesn't have a lid, which really limits its grill capabilities. But maybe if you're car camping or living in a dorm or other small space where you don't have a stove, this could potentially be handy. But honestly, I still think it's a waste of time. How is cleaning it? Pretty easy, as you might expect. Like I mentioned before, I do let the basket cool down completely before I do that. It's thick glass though, so it doesn't cool down right away. But that's okay, I just wait until I'm done my meal and then the timing pretty much works out. However, if you don't clean it afterwards and it's still a little bit oily and you use it again, you might get stuck on grease like you would in an oven. Does it bake well? After our quiche test, I'd say yes. Just remember that the heat does come from the top, so if you want to prevent over browning, just cover the baking. I have not tried making cakes in it. Just haven't been making sweet recipes lately. Perhaps if you leave a #recipe request, I might just get inspired. The capacity is slightly smaller than the Kasori 5.8 quart, but for the serving sizes I've been cooking, aka for 2 people, it's been plenty. I made up a little list to give you an idea, but if you want to take a closer look and more details, you can go over to the blog post, marystestkitchen.com, linked in the video description box. I can't say how repairable it is. I'm sure self-repairs would void the warranty, which is your standard 1-year limited warranty, which by the way, does not include glass breakage. So if you drop it, crack it by adding cold water to hot glass, etc., you would need to replace it at your own cost. Which, at $40 Canadian or US dollars, like I mentioned earlier, honestly, not bad in my opinion. Other than that, they also advertise a dehydrator function, the lowest temperature being 150 degrees Fahrenheit for those who are interested. I, however, do not find this particularly practical. You can't even fit a whole sliced apple in there. Seeing as you should only dehydrate in a single layer, this seems very silly. Why even have this function is my question. It seems like they were just trying to pack more functions to justify the price, which, to be honest, is quite high for an air fryer. For me, being a content creator, being able to film the food as it's cooking is very worth it. Also, there's no other comparable non-stick free air fryer on the market. Well, there is one, but I'm pretty sure it's the exact same machine, white labeled under a different brand name. I'll get into more details on the blog post, but long story short, it's pretty good, it's not perfect, and you'll have to decide if it's worth it to you. I hope that answers all your questions about my glass air fryer, but if you still have some, please leave them in the comments below and I'm going to answer you the best I can. Thanks so much for watching, my friends. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. For now, I'm brainstorming ways I can continue to make videos without my sense of taste because I recently got kicked out of the Novid Club. Please feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments below. Bye for now!